need a distraction right now, and I've already watched the one TV show that I allow myself to watch a year. So instead, I'm going to talk about that TV show in this video. This is another case where I've watched a TV show from start to finish. I have a lot of thoughts, and almost no one I know is watching this TV show too, so I'm taking my thoughts to YouTube. Doesn't matter, no one's really watching anyway. Agatha All Along is a Disney Plus show. It is a sequel to WandaVision about the main antagonist from WandaVision, Agatha Harkness. It is a show about her trying to reclaim her power, which was stolen from her during the events of WandaVision. And notably, for me, it introduces one of my favorite characters from the comics into the MCU, which would be the Scarlet Witch's son, Billy Kaplan, otherwise known as William Maximoff, who also known as Wiccan Demiurge, or very hilariously for about 4 issues, Asgardian. That's funny because, and this is one of the reasons why Billy is one of my favorite characters, he's one of the few openly gay characters in mainstream comics. That was definitely true when he was introduced. It has become more common for there to be openly gay and openly queer, other queer identities, characters in comics. I would still say they are the vast minority, and I would still say they're actually like more of a minority in comics than queer people are in the real world. But still, we have made great strides in that. So I'm happy for that. One of the reasons I like Billy is I do think he's quite a good character in the comics. He's very impulsive. He kind of just does things, but he is kind-hearted. Unlike other impulsive characters, he's not selfish. He is still sort of community-spirited, and I think they translated that very well into the TV show. When Billy first manifests his powers, really, it's in reaction to Agatha's selfishness, and Billy lashes out and does something that is very detrimental to people who don't deserve it. He also, in lashing out at Agatha, he also lashes out at 2 other characters who hadn't really done that much to warrant it, which, yeah, it does feel like something Billy would do. So I like that. I think they translated him well. I think Joe Locke played it very well, especially with a neutral American accent that can trip up so many actors. For example, Benedict Cumberbatch. I think they translated Billy well. The main thing I want to discuss today is Billy, and specifically the presentation of his queerness in the show. I think it was done pretty well, to be honest. He is openly queer from I think the 2nd episode in the series is when it becomes like becomes queer to the audience. He becomes queer to the audience. You see his phone and someone's phoning him and it says boif. So it's clear from that point. It's interesting because it's not mentioned explicitly from then on. I mean, Billy's behavior is very gay coded, I would say, until his focus episode. I believe his focus episode is it's either episode 4 or either episode 5 or episode 6. I have a feeling that it's episode 5. I'm not 100% on that. Anyway, he in his focal episode, we are told in no uncertain terms that he is gay, that this other character is his boyfriend and he is attracted to him. And I'll give Agatha All Along a gold star for doing something that I don't think any other Marvel project has done, which is showing queer people actually being physically attracted to one another, in that Billy mentions his boyfriend's arms as a distraction, which is nice because, this is one of the things I want to get into, is that I feel like queer characters are often presented just as just sort of being holistically queer. They're in a queer relationship, and we all understand that, and then it's the actual attraction aspect of it is very rarely brought up. The reason I wanted to bring up Billy specifically and his identity as a queer character is that we learn in his focal episode that Billy is the Scarlet Witch's son, the soul of the Scarlet Witch's son, inhabiting the body of a teenager who died extremely near to the Hex from WandaVision when the Hex collapsed. So this teenager was being driven by his parents. They got distracted by the hex collapsing. Their car crashed. The teenager sadly died, and then the Scarlet Witch's son inhabited his body. And fate is strange. They had the same name anyway. How unfortunate. That's hardly the weirdest part of that story. I don't know why I'm getting caught up on that. But anyway, what I want to know is, was the body gay or was the soul gay? I want you to be explicit about this, Disney. You chose to tell this story, so now you have to answer. Was Billy, the Scarlet Witch's son, gay before he entered the body of that other teenager? That sounds really bad. Was the soul gay or was the body gay? Okay? And either way, there's got to be super confusing. Okay? That's got to be really... Like, imagine you're this kid who was magically summoned into existence. Imagine that, anyway. And then your soul leaves your body. You enter into another body, which is older than the body you were used to already. I think he's meant to be 3 years older than the Scarlet Witch's kid. I'm not sure. I think Billy's meant to be 13 when this happened, and the Scarlet Witch's son was canonically either 10 or 11. So you're already like skipping 3 years of your life. You have to get used to a whole new body that's different size, different whatever. And then imagine, like, before that he's like this, quote unquote normal kid, this heteronormative kid, enters this body, and boom, that body, it was a gay boy's body, and you're just like, you're gay now. That's got to be difficult, especially because gay Twitter was really into the actor that they cast to play Billy's dad in that episode. I saw a lot of first posts about him. So that has got to be really confusing. Like, you have survived this terrible magical end point. You survived. You enter, and it's like, and now you're gay, and you're with this guy who is it thinks he's your dad, and to the outside world he's your dad. He's not your dad, but like, he's kind of a fox, and he's not your dad, but he doesn't know that. There are already videos about this on the internet that I'm not allowed to watch because I live in South Korea and they ban those kind of videos here. Okay, so that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, he was gay, like the soul was gay. Billy had already been like feeling things in Westview during WandaVision, and then he enters the body of this older boy. Again, has what lots of other people I don't think the actor was all that attractive, no offense, but lots of other people have been like, oh wow, he was really hot. And he's like, I'm older now, I can do this. Which one was it, Disney? We need to know. How does that work in the MCU? Okay? You need to tell us. And I know why they're not telling us. I know, because they don't want to address that. And frankly, I wouldn't either if I were them. If I were making that much money from making media, I would also shy away from the ontological questions because you're going to offend someone. But I also want to know, and you need to cover that in another episode. In then whatever Billy appears in next, you need to cover this. Also, speaking of what Billy is going to appear in next. So the final episode of Agatha All Along reveals that Billy created an entire alternate world, like his mother, the Scarlet Witch, before him, just by kind of thinking about it. Unlike the Scarlet Witch, he didn't really even have to go through a particularly big emotional upheaval to do it. This is interesting. It does feel like that they could solve the problem of Doctor Doom very easily with someone who can do that on their side. Just create another road, Billy. Create another road, shove Doctor Doom into it. P.S. I really wish that this had been... I know that this was like in the can before they announced all that about RDJ and Jonathan Masters and stuff. Jonathan Majors, sorry. I know that was already... This show was already finished. This would have been... You're already doing reshoots. Just do another reshoot. Just just put an insert in Billy's room where there is a poster of the Dr. Dolittle film with Robert Downey Jr. on his wall, and that's how Robert Downey Jr. gets back into the MCU. Boom, baby, done. Um, Genuinely, I mean, they're not going to do this. It would be really funny to me because they, everyone's like asking how they're going to get rid of Kang in the MCU now that all that stuff with Jonathan Majors has gone down. Billy would actually be a really good way to solve that now. Just you don't even have to like make it a game breaking power. Well, you can. I mean, it would be game breaking, but you can even just make it that Billy got rid of Jonathan Majors Kang because he was like, well, I thought he was boring, and then he just like, so I erased him from the multiverse, but I can't do that. I can't do that deliberately. It's only if I like find people boring, and Doctor Doom is just so compelling. That would be funny. That would be a good way. Just like Billy in his quest to find Tommy just met all the alternate universe Kangs and destroyed all of them off screen. He also did that to the Eternals because no one cares about the Eternals. Speaking of the Eternals, this is the second time, I should say, that the MCU has avoided addressing a very interesting queer perspective. In the Eternals, we see that, I believe his name is Phastos, I want to say, that Phastos is living in the modern day as a married, he's in a homosexual marriage. We don't know what Phastos's actual identity is. I'm going to assume that he's gay, but I don't know. That he's living he's married to a man and they've adopted a child. And again, I know why they didn't do this, because they don't want to offend people, and also I think that, frankly, the vast majority of audiences aren't interested in questions like this. Phastos has by far the most interesting story of the Eternals. Imagine that you come to this planet, you come to Earth during ancient times, and you live through all of ancient times as a gay man. So you live through like ancient Greece and ancient Rome as a gay man, just getting it however you want, like no problems. And then suddenly, Christo patriarchy, whatever, then causes homophobia. And you're like, what the fuck, guys? You are moving backwards. And all the other Eternals are like, Phastos, we're not meant to intervene. Just chill. Who cares? And he's like, I care. This is important. And they're all like, whatever. That's how they would do that. I don't have a lot of love for the Eternals, to be honest. I don't respect them. But yeah, again, they missed out on a gold mine of just exploring Phastos' relationship to humanity when he has seen them go from being cool to being way less cool in his lifetime. I mean, it should also be pointed out that Phastos was played by a black man. So again, Phastos probably lived through some things getting a lot less cool for him than they were before, and they decided not to address that either. I'm not surprised, to be honest. Other queer perspective remarks on Agatha All Along. I do think that Patti LuPone should be stationed at the point where every young gay man becomes an adult. So in Agatha All Along, she's at Billy's bar mitzvah. I mean, I'm not Jewish, so I would not have such a clear demarcation. But if Patti LuPone had just come to me in my teens and read my palm and been like, "You're gay," that would have helped. Patti, why didn't you do that for me? Question. But yeah, she would be very good. I do find it funny that Patti LuPone's character supposedly saw all the events of Agatha All Along, and the only thing she thought to do was to put a sigil on Billy, rather than being like, don't create an alternate world, or if you do, have easier stuff to overcome on your shelving that will inspire the world you make. Like, instead of this Lego Wizard of Oz or whatever it was, Winnie the Pooh. Just put us in the 100 Acre Woods. I can fight Tigger. It's fine. Yeah. I guess this is my final observation about Agatha All Along. I will go after this. I did enjoy Agatha All Along. I thought it was well made. I did think it was very funny at the beginning that the very first challenge, the wine poison challenge, had a riddle attached to it that I believe was in rhyme. and that none of the other challengers did. And at the time I thought that was a bit of lazy writing, that they just couldn't be bothered to think of rhyming riddles for all the rest of them. But no, now we know that was actually Billy. Billy only could think of one riddle, and that makes him even more relatable to me. Okay, peace out.